Welcome back to Learning from Friends. My name is Cade Curtis, your tour guide on this lovely venture that I call my podcast. I'm excited today that we're going to have a wonderful evening, afternoon, whatever you want to call it, whenever you're listening to this, about discussing the recently crowned national champions of college football, the University of Georgia. My good friend Robby is a lifelong football fan, so I'm going to pick his brain about the topic to better get us all an understanding of why it's great to be a Georgia Bulldog. Before we get there, I'm going to continue with our lovely portion of my mom sends me quotes all the time. And today's we're going to read to is from Ruby Francisco. And the quote goes, "She asked me to kill the spider. Instead, I get the most peaceful weapons I can find. I take a cup and a napkin. I catch the spider, put it outside, and allow it to walk away. If I am ever caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, just believe alive and not bothering anyone, I hope I am greeted with the same kind of mercy." It's always fun seeing these topics and things that my mom brings to me to just to remind about the day and the joys that are kind of out there in the world and the kindness that can be brought in. So thank you, Mom, for your continual support of sending me these nice quotes to make my day a little better. And I hope the audience as well can be able to find that joy as well. So my guest today, good old Robby. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, sir. Pretty good.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I did your brother for the very first episode, so now it's a family affair of we now have younger brother, and now older brother.
I'm not sure if that's a good thing.
I think it's a great thing, personally. It's a joy. So, describe yourself to the podcast here.
Well, let's see. Obnoxious Georgia fan. There you go.
Obnoxious Georgia fan. That hits it right on the head.
Yeah.
I will say, for me, you are a mixture of Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec and Red from That 70s Show. That's kind of a good kind of mixture for me of it, and that's what I always kind of get a laugh out of you whenever you do something kind of similar in that vein.
Maybe with a little Jed Clampett thrown in there.
Ooh, I could definitely take that in there. Do you have any funny or weird stories that you remember of, or idiotic things that you thought were stupid that me and your brother and a couple people did over the years?
Do you have the time?
We have some time, but share a funny story.
Let's see here. Roman candle wars.
That's true.
Shopping carts being pulled by a Ford pickup truck.
Toyota
pickup truck. Okay. Just to name a couple. We won't get into the specifics.
I will admit the first time that I ever met Robby was he was riding in the back of a Camaro, your mom's Camaro,
right,
at the time, and you just had like your feet kind of propped up, and I was like, you look just so relaxed and chill.
That's because my feet couldn't hit the floor because my knees were in my neck.
That is true. Because if y'all rode back and forth, you would bring my brother back from band practice. Mm-hmm. You're all in that. So I never met you before that. I didn't even know Chris had a brother until that point. So
he was probably scared to admit it.
Possible. But thank you for over the years of always kind of being the straightforward individual with us. Whenever we ask you a question, I know I'm going to get an honest answer. I'm not going to get some,
I've never been one to beat around the bush.
That's true. You're always straightforward and to the point. Mm-hmm. So let's dive straight into here of the 2021 national champions, University of Georgia.
How about them?
So let's go here with what made you start watching Georgia football? Like, do you have an early memory?
It's always been a lifelong thing. I remember as a kid, we'd go over to the games and get our chili dogs from the big greasy V, the varsity. And
rest in peace. I'm now sad that you're gone from Athens.
They're building another one.
Hey, they're bringing it back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's going to be over toward Watkinsville.
Oh.
But we get our varsity, and they had some cheap parking over toward the housing projects there in Athens. So we'd go over there, tailgate, then go to the game. I think the earliest games I remember might have been back when Rodney Hampton was the running back. And then when Eric Zier came along as quarterback, Mike Bobo, and guys like that. And my cousin was a graduate assistant with the Redcoats at the time, so we'd go over with my aunt and uncle and see her and watch the Redcoats before the game and go to the dog walk and all that fun stuff.
So roughly how old do you think you were at that time? 4 or 5?
Oh, no. I was
27?
That's probably 7 or 8.
Wow. Yeah, that's definitely that's a time period to be able to go back, and you've probably continually since. So did y'all go like once a year or
2 or 3 times a year?
2 or 3 times a year. And so this was, I know your dad played football too. And so I bet you that was an influence.
Dad played high school, college, and semi-pro.
I didn't know he played semi-pro. That's
Yeah, he
really
did.
Cool.
I think the team was the North Georgia Cougars. He only played a year or 2.
Interesting. So you had football really kind of in your blood at that point, that you were kind of around it and seeing that. Did you watch, whenever you weren't able to go to the games, did y'all continually have a tradition that you would watch the games at home?
Watched or listened to the great Larry Munson.
Ooh, the great Larry Munson. To our listeners here, explain who Larry Munson is.
Larry was the guy that he would always say he would paint the picture. He would set the scene on your radio and make sure you knew exactly what was going on, how it was going on, as if you were sitting in the stands. I mean, it was like you knew what the guy selling popcorn was doing.
That's true.
He was a classic.
Now, was he on WSB or?
Yes.
Yeah, good old WSB.
I went to his memorial service and cried like a baby.
Yeah, because he did over 40 years.
46, I believe.
Yeah, that's a lot to be able to do it and continuously be literally the voice of the Dogs.
I remember meeting him. It was before one of the games in Athens. He was signing autographs in the bookstore. He and Herschel were supposed to be there together. Herschel was late, and Larry was getting impatient. But when Herschel got there, all was forgiven.
I could definitely believe that on someone's going to be late. You know, it's just one of those matter of who it's going to be, what it's going to be. And anywhere that you're involved with something, your brother is set that tone of someone's going to be late. And so maybe it's just passing on to other individuals.
Well, we've learned with Chris that you tell Chris 2 hours before he's actually supposed to be there.
He's catching on, though. So you got to watch out for that now. He's catching on. How many times have you've sent autographs and meeting up? How many autographs do you have?
Around 500.
500 autographs, all from University of Georgia players?
All on the same item.
The same item?
One flag.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. It's on the flag.
Well, at one time it was hanging in Chris's room. I believe it was Mikasa.
Probably.
It was hanging over his window in Mikasa.
Wow, over 500 signatures. How did you collect all these signatures?
They used to have an event called Countdown to Kickoff. Current and former players would show up, and you just walk around and talk to them. Funny story, actually. A friend of mine that I went to middle school, high school, and part of college with, Chris Brown, whose dad used to be pastor of Canton First Methodist.
Hopefully he's okay with us dropping his name here. We'll find out.
Chris transferred to Georgia and walked on the football team. Played one play in 2005 and has an SEC championship ring.
Oh, you got to love that.
Chris was at the Countdown to Kickoff one year, signing autographs. So I saw him and walked over to him and I said, "Chris, what are you doing here? Nobody knows who you are." But he was still signing his autographs.
Hey, it's one of those things. And is that before the spring game or is that
They don't do it anymore.
They don't do it
anymore. When Kirby
anymore.
got there, they quit doing it.
Ah, gotcha. So did you continually go like every kind of year up until a certain point to it? And do you have repeated players' autographs or do you just do one?
There are no repeats.
When did you start collecting those autographs on that flag?
I want to say 2003.
Wow. So we're going on 2003, 19 years of collecting this. And you have players probably, how far back do you have?
Charlie Trippy.
Charlie Trippy, what year was that?
1945.
1945. Wow. Whew. So you've got a ton over the years. I'm sure you've got tons of the national championship team from the 80.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've got that one. And then now, I bet this year, going in that you're probably going to get a ton from this year's team.
Hopefully,
yeah.
They're not near as accessible now that they don't do that event.
Oh, fair. That's true. Well, over the next couple of years, I'm sure they'll start popping up places doing autograph signings.
Yeah. They still do them at the bookstore before the games, things like that. So.
Is that where the majority of your autographs come from? Is in Athens?
Yeah.
Have you met anybody outside of the University of Georgia campus that you've specifically gone to get autographs or anything from?
A lot of different memorabilia places will have signings, things like that. I know Dave and Buster's is real famous for doing stuff like that, but I don't usually go to them because when you're around people, you find out where the guys in Athens are going to be.
That's true.
And a lot of former players, you'll see them in Athens. You walk up to them and say, hey, sign this. They'll do it.
Now, you have other pieces of memorabilia that you've collected over the years. What are some things that you have collected?
I have a calendar from 1981 that has the 1981 schedule on it. I have at least 3 mini helmets that are all signed. A signed picture of Larry Munson. Tons of autograph photos. Too many things to really name.
I know walking around your house, you do have a lot of things that are kind of placed out throughout here and there, and it's always interesting. And you have a story behind the majority of each and every one of them. Now, who is your favorite of all time Georgia Bulldog?
I can't believe you're asking me this.
I have to ask. This is the point of the learning from friends.
He's the greatest college football player in the history of college football.
Tim Tebow, right? Oh, sorry. Those Tim Tebow fans, he's a great individual. But go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
His name is Herschel.
Last name what? Sorry.
Tebow can't touch Herschel.
Herschel Walker is definitely one of those specialty
and he is one
players.
of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
Yeah, how many times have you met him over the years? Or 3? I randomly met him whenever we were putting together a tent for the University of Georgia bookstore. I worked there, and he starts walking up, and I'm trying to put some things up, and next thing you know, he walks up behind and grabs the top of it because I'm not able to control it properly, and he goes, and I place it in, and I go, and he walks off, and my manager goes, that was Herschel Walker, and I go, yeah, I figured it was, and he was there, he was gone.
He wrote a book a few years ago about having multiple personalities, dissociative identity disorder, and they asked Vince Dooley about it one time. And Dooley says, I don't care whichever one was on the football team, on the football field was the one I like.
I can believe that. Do you have a favorite coach? I'm sure that's another easy one.
Well, obviously, big fan of Kirby's now, but I've met Vince Dooley multiple times. Super, super nice guy. His wife's a nut.
I met his wife and him. I actually got to work an auction with him one night. He actually announced me, which was really cool. But I can believe that he's a super available guy.
When you were living with Victor,
yes,
and I came over for the weekend, I was in that Kroger there off of Barnett Shoals.
He frequented that one a lot.
And they were in there. She was running for state senate or something like that. And I guess she thought I was an Athens voter. So she comes over and starts giving me a spiel. And I'm like, I just want to talk to him.
Aw.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But, my thinking was, let me just talk to him. I like him. You're crazy.
And I'm sure she's a very lovely individual and did probably some wonderful things, hopefully in politics for it. But
no.
You don't know? Who knows? But yeah.
Mark Rick's a wonderful, wonderful fellow.
Yes.
His in-laws live about 5 minutes from me.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting. But yeah, he did a lot of great things for the program and brought a very good attitude back to the program that we needed.
Without him, the program would not be where it is today. He started it.
I can agree that he really gave a big turnaround for us. Now, you're a season ticket holder. Mm-hmm. How long have you been a season ticket holder for?
Going on 18 years.
18 years. Now, with that, how many games over those 18 years have you missed?
Less than 10.
Less than 10. And I bet those were probably because you were extremely sick.
Either that or they were away games.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait, you've gone to a lot, being a season, you go to a lot of the away games as well? Yeah. Wow, so over 18 seasons that you've been in home and away, you've only missed less than 10 games.
Probably, yeah.
That blows my mind. I did not know that bit of information. That's crazy to think that you've been going that long. Now, going to all the different stadiums and going to these different areas, how many different stadiums have you visited?
Well, in the SEC, I have not been to 4.
Okay.
That being Texas A&M, Florida, because we don't play them there.
That's true.
LSU, I have not been to. And Alabama, I have not been to.
Okay. Yeah, because we've played Florida and Alabama, usually neutral sites.
Alabama will play at Alabama. But since we've been playing them, in Atlanta here lately, it's just easy to go there.
That's true. That's very true. Now, out of all these stadiums, what has been your best experience?
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl, that's the one out in California, right?
Yep, Pasadena.
Is that the farthest you've traveled for a game?
Yes.
And also with that, I'm curious here, what is the most you've ever spent on going to a game?
It was probably one of the SEC championship games with Alabama. Because Georgia and Alabama fans will spend a lot of money.
Yes, they will.
The Rose Bowl tickets I actually got for face value.
How did you pull that off?
I know people.
Oh, so that's smart. It's always good to have little connections.
A friend of mine was Vince Dooley's aide.
Oh, wow.
When he was at Georgia. So I got to know him. He's a real estate agent in Athens, and a lot of his clients are current and former football coaches at Georgia, and he's big buddies with Kirby. That does
make a difference.
When they got into the Rose Bowl, I called him and I said, hey, can you get me tickets?
So that's amazing because you had to fly, and then you're having to pay that price, and then you're also having to pay hotel, and then getting out there and coming back.
We actually flew into Las Vegas and stayed in Las Vegas.
Oh.
And they were sending travel buses from Vegas to Pasadena.
Nice.
So that whole trip was less than $2,000.
See, that's a win right there. Because I imagine it was going to be $2,000-$3,000 and to be able to spend on that.
Yeah.
Now, going out to the different stadiums, I'm going to take away the Rose Bowl and take away what has been the best stadium in the SEC besides University of Georgia.
Kentucky.
Kentucky is the best stadium. Why do you think it's the best stadium?
I just love that area.
Okay. No, not a lot around it in that sense to it. Now, I know you've had some rough experiences over the years. What has been your worst experience going to an away game?
I hate University of Auburn.
Oh, okay. Why do you hate University of Auburn?
I hate their stadium. I hate their fans. I hate everything about that university.
What's so rough about? No offense to those fans, but what makes them so rough to you?
They don't know when to shut up.
Oh, well, we're all loud, but okay, fair play. With that, you have been to tons of games over the years that you've talked about. What is the hottest temperature you've ever been in a stadium?
We opened the season, I can't remember what year it was, in Athens with the University of Buffalo.
Okay.
And I believe the temperature that day was 103 degrees. I went through 5 bottles of water that day.
I can believe that. What's been the coldest?
Usually Athens in November. Sometimes Knoxville in November was pretty cold. But
what's the worst weather that you've experienced? I'm sure you've been through thunderstorms, tornadoes.
When Arizona State came to town in 2009, it was a monsoon.
Ooh.
And where I was sitting at the time, there was me and maybe 15 or 16 other people in the entire section. And I'll never forget this because it was hilarious. There was this group of sorority girls down in front of me. None of them had on rain gear.
Ooh.
It was all dresses and cowboy boots.
Sounds about right, yeah.
So after a while, they, I guess, decided to make this little game. One of them reached down to take off a boot and dump it. And then it would go down the line and back. And this continued for probably 20 minutes. And then they figured out that they were too wet to stand there or too drunk to care and left.
That would be interesting to see that kind of going back and forth. Now, with that statement in place, what has been one of the craziest experiences that you've had of fans? Like you see, like crazy, like there's always those super fans that are dressed up or those people in sections that, all the media is focusing on.
Well, UGA has 2 really well-known super fans.
Okay.
One of them is dead now. His name was Big Dog, Mike Woods.
Didn't he live in Canton?
Some of his family did.
Okay.
But his son has carried on the tradition. His name's Trent, or Big Dog number 3.
Number 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
The original Big Dog drove the bus for the national championship defensive team in 1980. And how the head painting came about, because they all painted their heads.
Yeah.
Big Dog said, "Okay, boys, if you win this national championship, I'll paint my head. Shave my head and paint it."
That's how it all began.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's always the different designs that people have put on, and I've seen caps now in bald caps that people have sold over the years of the things that they've worn.
And then we have Super Dog. Super Dog is about, I'd say he's probably early 80s. He dresses up in a superhero outfit, cape,
Nice.
spandex, the whole works, dog collar included, and runs around the stadium.
At 80 years old. That's amazing. To be able to, so, wow. Thinking about that, I would love to be that kind of dedicated.
His name's JT Rickett.
And he will be, I'm sure they will have a very special occasion whenever he passes, if he's been around that long. That is for sure. Now, for you, game day traditions. Whenever you drive up, what is the traditions for you?
Well, people get mad at me because I got to get there early. But most of that's because I'm not getting to park at top of the deck, I got to park at the bottom of the deck so I can get out quick.
That's true. You don't want to sit there for 2 hours.
Yeah. But for me, it's pretty much like everybody else. I go to the dog walk. I watch the players come in. I listen to the redcoats. And then I get in the stadium fairly early. I watch the warm-ups. I don't have any specific things that I do, just me.
Do you do anything for if you win the game, you go somewhere to get something, or if you lose the game, you just drive straight home?
If you win, you go by Krispy Kreme and get Victory Donuts.
Ooh, okay. Do you just classic original, or do you get specialty?
I get the chocolate-covered ones.
Oh, nice. So victory, you get donuts. You lose, you just get in the car and you drive straight home.
Because you're too mad to say anything.
That's true. I know your passenger that typically goes to you, who's also been on the podcast, Joseph Mize, and he does say it's a very quiet ride home if there's a loss.
Exactly.
What has been the angriest moment you have ever been at within a game?
Well, again, too many to mention, but there was one specific incident, 2019 South Carolina game.
Okay, we're going specific here. Let's go.
I'm standing there watching the game, and apparently there was an interesting little expression on my face because I start getting text message after text message after text message.
Okay.
My grumpy little mug's on national television.
Oh, my word. Oh, man. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
So was it we were losing that game and it got posted up there? Or
yeah.
Now, what's been the happiest moment? Taking away national championships and taking away titles outside of like SEC championship games and stuff like that. What has been one of the happiest moments that you have ever been a part of?
Rose Bowl.
Rose Bowl? Okay.
After sitting through heart attack on top of heart attack on top of heart attack during that game, the final seconds of that game were just glorious.
That was the comeback win, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
The overtime.
Who's your favorite quarterback that we've had of all time? Because we've had tons of quarterbacks over the years.
That's tough.
Yeah, I was saying like we've had some that have gone into the draft. We've had some that have just kind of panned out and been great and serviceable in college, but never really kind of made it past that.
Probably of the last 20 years is probably David Green.
Again, one of those he game manager, knew how to manage the game,
Was smart
and knew how to put the ball in his back, like and take it down. That is a very good choice here. Out of all the players that have gone to the NFL from the University of Georgia, who do you consider your favorite that you've watched or kept up with? Because you've had Stafford, you had Marino, You had
Never liked Stafford.
never liked Stafford. Congratulations on just winning your Super Bowl. As a heads up with that one. There's been tons of offensive linemen, defensive linemen that have gone in.
I say never liked Stafford. Stafford was not at Georgia for Georgia. Stafford was at Georgia for himself.
Yeah, he did wind up coming in and being there just to make sure he got to the NFL because he knew he was going, and he went number one for that specific reason.
Mm-hmm. Terrell Davis was always a favorite.
Oh, yeah, great running back.
And Super Bowl MVP.
Exactly, that's true.
Hines Ward.
Oh, gosh, yes, Hines Ward. That man, in and off the court, not court, in and off the field, amazing guy.
Super, super talented. Super nice.
Yeah.
Met him a few times. Great guy. Garrison Hurst was another one.
Did both the Butlers make it into the NFL?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One of them won a Super Bowl. The other one didn't.
Yeah, Kevin won the 85 Super Bowl.
That was it. Yeah.
I asked him to do the Super Bowl shuffle one time, and he looked at me and laughed. Because he was signing autographs in the bookstore.
Oh, yeah. They're always constantly coming in. I got to be lucky one time and got to help set up for a couple of different players that were coming through there the year and a half that I worked at the bookstore.
Yeah. I forget who I was in the bookstore to see one day after a game. I look over next to him, Jack Weaver's sitting there.
Oh, man.
His book.
Yep, good old. What was the name of his book? Do you remember what it's called? Hunker Down in Georgetown. Is that
it was something about Uga hunkers down in Athens Town. That's
it.
Yeah.
Jack Weaver, that was a great kids book.
Yeah.
Phenomenal kids book. He was my principal. Was he there at Macedonia when you were there? He was my principal the last
Kenny Morris was my principal there.
Yeah, good old Kenny Morris. Love me some Kenny Morris. But Jack Weaver, I remember clear as day, good morning, Macedonia Wildcats. And I'm not a morning person, and that
I have never been a morning person and will never be a morning person.
And so that's definitely woke you up or really kind of just pushed you of like, It's morning now. I now know officially that's here. But great book, great kids book. I recommend if you have a child that you want to give a Christmas book to, that is just a great one to be able to. The illustrations are great. The story is great. And for any University of Georgia fan, it just fits right in. Mm-hmm. It fits right in. Now, have you read a lot of the autobiographies over the years?
There's really not many as far as Georgia players are concerned.
Oh, really? I know is there any like books specifically on like the championship reigns or from?
They've just come out with one. Dean Legge, that's one of the writers, came out with one. It's called Dogstruction. It's all about this last season. It has, different behind the scenes stories and things like that from each game of the season and whatever. I'll probably end up getting that one. But Dooley's written quite a few books. I've read most of them. The only one I haven't read, this won't be any shock to you, Vince Dooley is a master gardener.
Yes, he is.
He's written a book on gardening.
Not for you. Just not going to happen.
I have not read that book. He's also written a book on the Civil War.
And that is a huge topic for you. You love the Civil War.
I have read that one. It is autographed.
One of your many more autographs in your collection.
Yeah. I have met Coach Dooley a number of times and have quite a few of his autographs.
Jumping backwards a little bit here, there are so many traditions at the University of Georgia. Can you tell us about some of the traditions that exist?
Well, let's see. After a win, you go ring the chapel bell. There's always singing the fight song, and no, I'm not going to sing it.
Oh, come on. Okay.
No. The dog walk, where line up and watch the players walk through. There's so many.
Yeah, there's the calling of the dogs.
Yeah.
That's another one of it. Do you have a favorite?
I enjoy all of it. The whole game day atmosphere is just, it's not one to be missed.
Can you describe to me in the best ways that you can of what it is like walking into that stadium for you?
It's like every year when I go in for the first time, I'll look at whoever I'm with and say, it's good to be home.
Yeah.
It's just good to be home.
Now, didn't we just do an expansion in the stadium
10 years ago?
10 years ago, it's 103,000 now?
92,746.
You would know that exact number. you would
Yes,
know
I would.
that exact number. That is funny. How does it feel to get that burden off your back of winning the championship this year?
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Oh man, I hope we could be able to get a repeat here. We've got a lot of players return this year. We had a lot of
All
good.
on offense. All of them except one.
Now, this is a controversial topic. I'm gonna go ahead and admit this. What's your opinion on Stetson Bennett?
As long as we keep winning, I don't care.
Everybody has their own opinions to it, and I wanted to see how yours was with that. Now, University, we're going to go into rivalries here.
Okay.
University of Georgia versus Georgia Tech.
It's not a rivalry.
That's a demolishment. That is true.
We beat the little sister so much it don't matter.
Do you know what the record is on that one?
A bunch to not much.
A bunch, not much. They did have a good run for a while. They did.
And part of that was taken back because they were using ineligible players.
I did not know that happened. Mm-hmm. Huh. Now, the bigger one that is actually heavily competitive is the University of Georgia and Florida game.
Yeah, we won't get into Darth Visor.
But what makes that game so special?
The atmosphere in Jacksonville, when you've got a split stadium, half Georgia, half Florida, and you see the traditions of both teams going on at pretty much the same time, it's wild.
Now, they play at the neutral site, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. And what do they call that?
Well, they've changed the name of it like 10 times in the last 5 years.
What have been some of the names?
It's been Everbank Field. It was Jaguar Stadium at one point. Now I think it's TIAA Bank Field or something like that.
Yeah, they changed it. Yeah. There's nicknames, though, for the games over the years. Wasn't like the largest...
World's largest outdoor cocktail party.
Yeah, largest outdoor... Yeah. Getting parking down there, I've always heard has been interesting.
I've parked at the same place every year.
Do you park out near the bridge? Is that where... Yeah, be able to get in and out?
In the ghetto.
Hey, it's slowly getting better down there. It's getting better.
Where I park is one of those places when you walk to and from your car, you may see a syringe on the sidewalk.
Yeah, Jacksonville's getting better. It's had its down times. I'm hoping maybe it'll get a turnaround here in the near future. But it's
the only time that stadium ever sells out. And they have to bring in extra seats.
Yeah, and people are down there tailgating for the week of that game, starting from the beginning and kind of keeping up till the very time.
We go down on Wednesday.
Why do they play at the neutral site? Why don't they switch it up like the University of Georgia and Georgia Tech does?
Well, years ago, somebody had the bright idea to put it in neutral. And when they brought it to Jacksonville realized, hey, we get a lot of money from this. Let's keep doing that.
Yeah, if you can make the money.
And then when everybody decided, hey, we can make a pretty good beach vacation out of this.
That's true. They've got a lot of good beaches in that area too.
Because, like all of the Georgia people go to St. Simons, Jekyll, Tybee, Amelia, and they make a killing.
Yeah, they do. Y'all usually you and your family go down and stay in Amelia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and y'all, how many years in a row have y'all been doing that one? 11 years. Because y'all go to the same place. Y'all do the same stuff going through, and you and Joe go down and go through your processes of stopping into Savannah.
Yeah, he has to go get his pralines.
I don't blame you. Those pralines are so good. Yeah. Savannah is just a great stop in for anyone at that point. Now, there is a major difference here between SEC football and any other conference in the entire nation. What makes SEC football so good?
SEC is king. It's big boy football. Until somebody figures out how to knock us off, it's going to keep being big boy football.
Yeah, we produce the most NFL players out of any other conference. How do you feel about this expansion?
Well, we've beaten both teams until they figure out how to beat us. I don't care.
That's true. No issues until it becomes an issue. Do you, out of traveling around to the different stadiums and different places that you've gone for these different games, what is the next? Who is considered like the biggest wild card Every year, you never know if you're going to go in, you're going to win it, or you're going to lose it.
Tennessee coming up might be a pretty good team next year. Everybody thought Kentucky was going to be a good team last year. Well, then they ran into us.
That's true.
Same thing with Arkansas. We broke a lot of teams last year.
That's true. Now, there's a lot of coaches that have been in the SEC. What is the one coach that you wish out of the SEC history that you would have loved to have had at the University of Georgia? Because you have some greats that are out there. That you have Spurrier, obviously. You have Les Miles that's come through and done his. You had Saban that's out there. If you could bring any of them in, past, present, who would you bring in to be able to be that?
Bear Bryant.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, easy Bear Bryant. That's your reincarnate and bring him out, have him come in and make it work. That is true.
But we had Vince Dooley while he was at Alabama, so.
You did. So it balanced out. It did balance out.
But the thing with Dooley is if Vince Dooley did not have Herschel Walker, Vince Dooley would have never won anything.
That's definitely a statement that he put the team on his back and carried it the entire way through.
Funny story about Herschel, though.
Go for it.
Well, it's not really about Herschel, but it kind of affected Herschel. When Herschel came to Georgia, Georgia had another running back on the team by the name of Donnie McMickens. Donnie went to Cherokee High School. Donnie played football with my daddy.
Ah.
When Herschel took Donnie's job, Donnie was greatly offended.
I can believe that. Anybody coming and taking anyone's position.
But Herschel was leaps and bounds better than Donnie.
Yeah, Herschel Walker's in it.
Herschel has a Heisman Trophy. Could have had 3.
That's true. And I'm sad that he didn't have the professional career that he had in college.
But, Herschel was traded to the Dallas Cowboys from the Minnesota Vikings for 11 players.
Yeah, I think the only other time that's happened was Ricky Williams when he came in with the Saints. That was the closest that anyone's ever gotten to.
When Herschel went into the USFL, he was the first $1 million contract. Donald Trump wrote the check.
I did not know that. Interesting.
Because Donald Trump owned the New Jersey Generals, which was the team Herschel played for.
Didn't he have a stint up in Canada as well? Playing? No, it was just the USFL, then the NFL, and then kind of stepped his way out. Now, there's a lot of traditions and events that take place outside of football season in Stanford Stadium. What has been some of those that you've attended?
The spring football game, obviously the championship celebration that we just had. When they would do the countdown to kickoff, that was in the stadium usually. What
is the spring game, and why is it important?
It's the end of their spring or their fall camp.
Okay.
Say fall camp, spring camp. And that's where they basically show what the team looks like. You can see players that you wouldn't normally see. And it's just a good chance to see the guys that you wouldn't normally see and, what the future holds.
Do they have anything before the game and after the game?
They used to have, they would call it the old dogs game, where all the old guys came back and played flag football.
Oh, man.
And they would take the most ignorant amongst them and give him a microphone and let him do play-by-play. It was hilarious.
Oh, man. Do they still do the cheerleaders that come back from the previous games, previous years as well to cheer the game? Or is that only during homecoming?
That's homecoming.
I get that backwards.
Where they give the old guy the trumpet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that guy. That's always fun just to kind of see the people come back and spend a good time. And you get people from all over the world will come back to homecoming and come back to these games just to be a part of it. Now, there has been several disappointing seasons over the years that we had the opportunity to really do something. What was the most underperforming season that you've witnessed in University of Georgia football?
2010.
What about that made it where it was underwhelming? They didn't produce to their biggest capabilities.
Well, we ended up 6-7 and lost to Central Florida in the bowl game.
That was the year. Oh, so, yeah. That
Mark Richt's only losing season.
Because he averaged, what was his record whenever he finally left the University of Georgia?
145 and 54, I believe.
Yeah, but just how many SEC championships did he win?
2.
2. That is disappointing that you get to the game and you just can't finish it off, unfortunately. You get there, you have it all in place, and you just can't finish it off. But that's okay. That's that's part of it. And that's the reason why he's no longer our coach anymore.
He's a great guy. I hate to see what he's going through right now, but
yeah, that is really unfortunate. I wish him all the best with that having to continue forward. Do you have any things that you want to discuss that we haven't talked about Georgia football?
Let's see. For those that have never been to a game, it's definitely worth it. You know about the section drunk, don't you?
No, tell me about your section drunk.
I sit next to this guy that's 3 seats down, and he's a happy drunk.
Okay.
They used to do refillable Cokes and popcorn. And I'm not going to say his name. He would go get his refillable popcorn and dump out the popcorn. And he'd go get about 5 refillable Cokes and dump them all in the popcorn bucket. And in front of God, the GBI, and everybody around, reach into wherever he had his liquor stored and go to mixing.
Oh, man.
And the GBI would stand there, watch him, and laugh.
Yeah, because I guess he's done it every year. It's one of those traditions.
Still does it.
Still does.
Well, not in that same way because they don't do the refillable stuff anymore.
That's true. You got to make your money somehow.
One game, he brought in the guts of a camelback full of liquor.
Wow. That's dedication. That is dedication.
Like I say, he's a happy drunk.
Before we wrap up here, I'm curious to see what's your prediction for this upcoming season, and who is going to be the second part of this is who's going to be the standout player this year that you're looking forward to seeing.
We will have another 12-0 undefeated season.
Ooh, okay.
We will play Alabama again in the SEC championship.
Are we going to win this time?
I will not go that far yet. Brock Bowers will have another fantastic season.
That's our defensive tackle?
Tight end.
Tight end.
The phenomenal freshman from last season. Number 19.
Gotcha.
I reserve judgment on any of the wide receivers because they're all going to be new.
That's true.
I don't even know about quarterback because Stetson may not start.
You never can tell because Kirby likes to be able to kind of keep it close to the chest.
Kirby's big on competition.
Yes, that is a big one. What's the difference here between Kirby and Mark Richt? What was that big transition? Like what separates those two from each other?
Mark Richt was very loyal to people. Kirby will do whatever he needs to do to win.
Who's the better recruiter?
Kirby.
Kirby's the better recruiter.
Mark Richt only recruited positions of need. Kirby recruits everybody.
That's smart. You got a wide span, go across the board, whoever you can get in.
Matter of fact, the top recruit for 2023 is looking at coming to Georgia.
That is
Arch Manning.
Manning, yeah. Is I know he's narrowing down a little bit of his decisions, and he's eliminated a couple. So we're still in the play for that one.
Yeah.
That'd be nice
and
to
will
see.
be till the end.
Yeah, hopefully. That'll work out to it. How many years does Kirby have left on his contract?
They're negotiating another one right now.
Alice, they're going to expand it.
And they're looking at a 10-year, somewhere around $100 million contract.
That's not putting him in Saban money, but it's getting him close.
Yeah. Well, see, not only did Kirby go to Georgia, Kirby's wife went to Georgia.
I didn't know his wife went.
She played basketball for Andy Landers.
Wow.
It's funny because she played basketball with Bubba Watson's wife. And, Bubba went to Georgia too. So
yeah. Good. We've had a lot of good graduates of sports in general coming out of there. Now, you go to some of the not football, but you do go to football, but obviously. You go to some of the basketball games.
I went to one a couple of weeks ago, and it was terrible.
Yeah, we're having a rough season right now.
Yep.
We're having a rough season.
And we'll be looking for a new coach here in a few weeks.
Probably so. Is there any of the other sports that you consider you're next in line. Is it basketball that's next in line for you to go back and watch at University of Georgia? Or
The baseball team's pretty good. I'm probably going to go to a couple of baseball games this season.
that'll be fun too. I know you. Every so often, you get your mom convinced to go down and watch a couple of games with you.
She loves it.
She does. That's true.
And I know she's going to listen to this, but I love her, but it's like babysitting a 10-year-old. We'll get in the truck. I want Krispy Kreme. Fine. We'll go to Krispy Kreme. We'll get back in the truck and get to the stadium. I want popcorn. Fine. She gets her popcorn. This popcorn doesn't have any salt in it. I don't care. I'm here to watch a ball game. But this last season, the popcorn was so salty she couldn't eat it.
Yeah, you get one or the other, yeah.
I told her, I said, see, somebody heard you complaining about salt, and they gave you salt.
Who do you like to go to the games the most with?
Joe and I have been going together for so long. It's just so easy because he and I are so much alike.
That's true.
And we gripe a lot.
Yeah, you do. I know I could not be in the car to go into a game or not. I don't think I could do it.
He and I both have our designated hat throwing areas. Because if something bad happens, one of us is going to throw a hat.
Nice. Hey, everybody's got to have their thing.
And words will fly.
We will not use those on our podcast.
No. But, we have our designated times we use certain words. And we have our own words that we use. We don't use each other's words.
That's fair. That is definitely fair. To wrap up here, anything else you want to add? It could be completely, doesn't have to be Georgia football. You could be sending a message to your brother or anybody if you want to. Well, what's something you want to throw out there?
Why would I want to send a message to him?
I don't know. I love your brother. I'm looking forward to it. We're going to start the MLS Atlanta United season starting up on in the near future on Sunday tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, you don't like your soccer. I know you don't.
I'd rather watch paint dry.
But anything else before? Okay, cool. Thank you for coming on. This has been a pleasure to have you in and to discuss the University of Georgia and their lovely, fantastic 2011 national championship victory here.
HBTFD.
What does that stand for?
You figure it out.
Oh, man. Okay. Now, to leave out here, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend. I can be found on Facebook, and as of recent, I finally moved on to Twitter, and that is going to be exciting. We'll see how that continues to go along. But you can email me also at cade, which is spelled CADE, at learningfromfriends.com. And most of all, as you're leaving out here, remember to let your curiosity fly high. This is Cade Curtis from Learning from Friends, and I will talk to you soon. Goodbye.